as far as working hard as a fifth generation logger, I'm pretty used to that. That's been in my DNA. So, having 90 days here or less, we're going to work like crazy to make this happen. But I think it's pretty clear that, people, and I listened to you beforehand, people in Maine are feeling the same way. I've never seen this type of energy. I mean, I'm sure it's based off of frustration and anger of a government that is absolutely not working for them. We're watching people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos get, great big tax breaks. Well, here in Maine, we're losing our healthcare system. I mean, we're in crisis. Another birthing center closed today. Hospitals are closing. Nursing homes. People are losing their health insurance. And all the while we watch Susan Collins giving, Donald Trump everything he wants, being a rubber stamp, voting with him 96% of the time, giving $70 billion to ICE to go out and do whatever they want under Trump's direction. Tariffs, like, we heard of the people in Ohio, it's killing this state. And fuel prices in a state that's, got a lot of natural resources, fishing, farming, and forestry, they're at all-time highs, and people just can't keep up. You're not going to be able to make this up. And so, I mean, I don't really know what I would tell Donald Trump. I probably can't say it on here, but he's totally, if he ever had any touch with everyday people, he's totally lost touch with it. And the idea that it's all about yourself, that's coming home to roost for people like Susan Collins. And I'm looking forward to continuing to talk to people, because the energy, like I said, in this state is something like I've never seen before. And people want a government that works for them.
Mr. Jackson, the tone deafness that you talked about that Donald Trump has, now we all around the table have been watching him exhibit to the American people, is catching, it seems. It's not just him. It is going around the cabinet. I want you to listen to what the Treasury Secretary has said. This is from a New York Times story. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent downplayed the impact of inflation on lower-income Americans, declaring this week that the K-shaped economy, shorthand for the divergent fortunes of the rich and poor, is a thing of the past. He told CNBC, "I got sick of hearing about this K-shaped economy. I can say here definitively the K-shaped economy is over." And again, for voters, that is shorthand for the divergent fortunes of the rich and the poor. Mr. Jackson, when you hear that, when you walk around and you knock on the doors of your neighbors, does it feel to them that the gap between the rich and the poor no longer exists?
Well, I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, that K-shape and all that. I mean, people aren't stupid. I mean, people want a government that fights for them. I mean, we all do. And we don't have that right now. And yeah, people are struggling. I mean, rents are insane. We have private equity coming in here, buying trailer parks up, blowing people's rents up, and they have no place to go. I mean, they're literally losing their mobile homes if they can't pay the lot rent. Healthcare is completely out of reach. I mean, childcare is, like, for a lot of people, it's their full paycheck. There's no end to the amount of things that are out of people's reach right now. And for anyone that can't understand that, I mean, then they are clueless. I mean, they don't know what it's like for everyday Americans, everyday Mainers. But I tell you what, they're going to find out in November.
Mr. Jackson, Susan Collins has obviously tried to frame her opposition to Todd Blanche as evidence that she does stand up to Donald Trump and has an independence when it matters. Do you think that this no vote against Todd Blanche is indicative of that, or a politically expedient choice that she's making?
Well, no, I think it's just more of the weak sauce that Susan Collins has been giving us for a long time now. She counts the votes, knows when she's needed, and when she's not, she throws a bone like this, but it makes no difference. I mean, it was like Kavanaugh. I mean, she could have stopped that. She could have stopped the income tax cuts for the wealthy on the back of our healthcare system. She could have stopped ICE. We had a gentleman murdered here 3 weeks ago in Biddeford, in her home state, after she told us she used her influence to get ICE out of Maine, which is absolutely not true. So, no, I don't see that. I mean, look, I served 20 years in the Maine legislature. I was Senate president for the last 6. I know it's a lesser role than U.S. Senate, but if you want to stop something, as appropriations chair, you can stop it. And it's clear to me that 96% of the time she's with Trump. She gives us that 4% of useless votes when they're not needed, and that's the problem. People in Maine aren't stupid. We know better, and we're gonna make sure in November, like I said, that Susan realizes that we're not the idiots that she makes us out to be.
Mr. Jackson, I think that point that you've made a couple of times now is an important one, because there is, as we've seen within the Democratic Party, some would say a new energy. I would say it's a different energy. It has been there. It has been dormant. It has been sidelined by sometimes events, sidelined a lot of times by how the infrastructure sort of shortchanges or pushes aside the interest of those voters who want to see a fighter, who want to see someone engaged with them, who want to see someone who's willing to take a punch, yes, but more importantly, deliver one politically of their own. And I think that is something to be rather frank and honest about. It's something Donald Trump did for Republicans in 2016. But the seedbed for that was well established long before we got to 2016, just as I think the seedbed was in place before your arrival on the scene, before the arrival of Mr. El Sayed in Michigan, or even Mayor Mamdani in New York. And I think that's reflective in some of the early polling. Now, I'm not putting these numbers up to say, oh, this is where the race is going. Folks, just calm the jets, right? Because as Mr. Jackson will tell you, and anyone who's on the ballot right now, the work between now and the end of August, Labor Day, is tough. The work between Labor Day and November is backbreaking if you want to win. But the numbers right now show in a Maine Senate poll by University of New Hampshire Pine Tree State poll released on July 21st, right, shows among likely general election voters, Troy Jackson, 49, Susan Collins, 46. What that says, though, to me, that the voters out there are looking to change the game. How do you see it, sir?
Well, I do. I mean, look, you can go to jacksonformaine.com and see, my longtime record. I mean, back in '98, just a small group of us that didn't really understand politics or anything, reached out to our elected officials, and Susan Collins was in her first term. When it came down to us against the billionaire landowners here in Maine, she didn't want to have anything to do with us. And that's what prompted me to run for the legislature to begin with, was to try and give a voice to everyday working class Mainers. And I don't care who you are, we all want government to fight for us, to work for us. And it's clear now, I've waited so long for everyday working class people to step up and push back on a government that hasn't been working for us. But at this point, it's so bad that I think people that couldn't get there before are now saying, I have to do something different. And there is an energy in Maine like I've never seen before. And I ran Bernie's campaign in 2016, and that was incredible. But this dwarfs it. Because everyone knows, Republicans and Democrats, that they're getting left behind in this economy, and they want somebody to fight for them. And it didn't have to be me. It didn't have to be Graham. It had to be somebody that's not afraid to push back against the establishment. And I'm certainly not willing. I'm certainly willing to do that. And I got a long history of it. And that's really what we all want is somebody to do what's right for people that are struggling and need somebody in their corner.